Give them some guidance.
Well, I can give some examples. I think Nadia Whittome, for instance, would make an excellent leader of the Labour Party.
Dude, this nigga is recruiting, bruv. Hey, that's some gangster shit. Man said, yeah, bruv, I like cuz, yeah? Look, I'm looking your way, bruv. Man wants you in this party, bruv. Come here, bruv. I fuck with that.
I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody as ruthless. I'm Sonny Liston. I'm Jack.
Zach Polanski's impressive Green Party surge continues. Video by Navarro Media. We love Navarro Media on this channel. Them man seem to know what they're talking about over here. And I love their content. So, yeah. Let's see what they have to say about Zach Polanski, bruv.
Last week, one pollster had the Green Party of England and Wales in second, behind only Reform. I find out now, a member of the British Polling Council had Zach Polanski's party 3 points ahead of Labour and 7 ahead of the Liberal Democrats. And while that's just one poll, and the most sunny so far for the Greens, the general trend is clear. The party with just 4 seats is gaining a truly national profile, at least in terms of membership, polling, and increasingly, media coverage.
Yeah, 100%, man. As they've getting more and more people voting for them, or getting higher and higher percentages of people liking what they're saying in terms of surveys and shit, the media has to flip and pay attention to these man now. You know, and it's not enough to beat Reform yet, because they're still up by 32%. And I think the Green Party is at 18%. So, yeah, it's definitely good news, man. That's why I'd say good news.
To a large extent, that is the result of Zach Polanski being elected as party leader 2 months ago. Since then, the Greens' membership has more than doubled. But more than anything else is Polanski's gift when it comes to the media. And that polish was on display over the weekend. Here he is speaking to Trevor Phillips, allegedly Sky News' most heavyweight interviewer, on Sunday. Phillips started the conversation asking about the relevance of Remembrance Sunday.
Zach Polanski will be attending the Remembrance Day rituals today. Why does this day remain relevant?
It remains relevant because we still live in a world that's particularly in global turmoil right now, where the threat of war remains ever constant. And indeed, whether it's in Gaza or Sudan, there are conflicts and genocides happening throughout the world. I think the important moment to stop today is both to remember the fallen victims, to remember the world wars we've had, and also to look ahead towards peace and diplomacy, and how we can work together across nations to make sure that peace is never taken as something that is complacent or a given, but actually is always an active piece of work to strive towards a more peaceful world.
When you say fallen victims, you do include the military, the soldiers in that?
Yeah, undoubtedly, people who gave their life for this country.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't get why this guy comes at him for Remembrance Day. Like, it's almost as if he was trying to make Polanski look as if he didn't care about soldiers. And then it made no sense. It's like he's trying to make him seem as if Polanski doesn't care about keeping the people safe. Like, it was a weird angle they tried to come out, I'm not going to lie to you.
What the hell is Trevor Phillips expecting him to say?
Yeah.
That Remembrance Sunday is for everybody except the soldiers that died, particularly in the Great War. Millions of ordinary young men who had no idea what they were getting involved in.
Facts.
Of course, you had historic levels of voluntary entry into the war from all sides in a way that isn't really replicated in the Second World War, because they've seen how bad things went a few decades earlier. Of course, that's who it's about. But what Trevor Phillips was hoping for here was just, I don't know what he was hoping for, a clanger?
Yeah.
He was hoping for Zach Polanski to say something stupid? I don't know.
Yeah, you know what it is? It makes them, it's like they expect people on the left to have no brain cells at all. And he thinks that Polanski has no intelligence. That's why he brought up that question. It's to try and show that, oh, Polanski is clearly not educated on anything. But as we just saw, Polanski is not an idiot. So yeah, it was a weird one still. It's just showing that Trevor Phillips was trying to fish for something that was never there in the first place.
And next, the conversation moved on to military budgets, nuclear weapons, and Putin.
Your party wants to get rid of nuclear weapons, move to emphasis onto diplomacy, development and so on and so forth. If Greens were part of a government, would we expect to have fewer men and women underarmed by the end of your term of office?
Well, I think that depends what's happening in the world. I think it would always be foolish to assume anything about military budgets without knowing the political context you're working in. I would say more widely, though, if we're talking about right now, we've got a Prime Minister who's spending £15 billion on nuclear weapons and at the same time saying there's no money to lift the two-child benefit cap, for instance, something that's keeping 350,000 children in poverty. So I think it's right to question political choices at budget
surely
time.
the deterrent is valuable in a world that has Vladimir Putin in it.
Well, I want to see everyone denuclearize, including Vladimir Putin. But ultimately, the only way you can do that is by showing...
But I have to say that would be in the realms of the miracle.
Well, you're laughing at it, but I think it's important that we don't laugh at peace. I think it...
See, and this really just shows that Trevor Phillips doesn't take whatever Polanski says seriously, because he's straight up just laughing at the guy when you didn't even let him finish his point, and then you cut him off before he finishes his point. You know what I'm saying? If you're not going to take the guy seriously, why bring him on the air, man? Jeez, man.
It's really important.
No, I'm laughing at the idea that Vladimir Putin is going to give up his nuclear weapons because somebody asks him to.
Well, you could have laughed at the point of Nelson Mandela negotiating with the ANC, or we could have laughed at the Irish during the Troubles.
You're not sincerely making the comparison. Come on.
I am making the comparison. I think it's always impossible until it's done, and I think it's really important. I don't think it's likely. That's a different question. But I think the first question has to be, do you believe that we can work for peace and diplomacy in the world? Do we believe that we can work with people that we have mass disagreement with, that are they're obviously created an illegal invasion of Ukraine? These are really serious issues. And at the same time, I believe we should never leave the negotiating table. And part of that is showing both the moral and courageous leadership to come on TV and say to you, even though this might be a position that's ridiculed, I don't think we should find peace and diplomacy ridiculous. I think we actually, the most brave and courageous and authentic to do is say, I believe we can have a world without war.
So Prime Minister...
Now, this point that Zelensky does bring up, that, you know, just because it's really hard doesn't mean it's impossible, in terms of trying to garner a world of just pure peace, no wars, things like that. It's not something that is highly likely, I'm not gonna lie. Because when it comes to North Korea, for example, they're a dictatorship and they have the whole identity is war. The whole identity is war and warheads, and look at my guns, look how big my guns are, oh my god, I can pew pew from anywhere. It's not impossible, which is exactly why you should try and do it. You know what I'm saying? And I like the fact that he brought up the fact that it was impossible until it was done. I like that. That shows that that's the level of bravery and leadership that this country definitely needs. Someone who's willing to try things that we're too scared to try just because we feel like it's completely unlikely. Well, if you look at what Trump did, he's the first American president to ever speak to Russia at all. During this whole time that the war in Ukraine's been going on, he's the only one to speak to them. Bearing in mind, he's an idiot, but the fact is, just because it seems impossible doesn't mean it actually is until it's done. So I fuck with that.
Mr. Polanski would negotiate with President Putin?
Undoubtedly. I think it would be sociopathic behaviour to say you wouldn't negotiate with the president or a prime minister of any country.
So there will be no electoral deal, however informal, with Labour?
I think it'd be, Trev, I don't know if you were reining it in a little bit, you're phoning it in. Maybe he was a bit hungover. I mean, bear in mind this is on a Sunday morning, right? Trevor Phillips kind of seems a bit half-assed. Doesn't really care. He's just expecting, you know, Zach Polanski, he's probably so woke, he'll just fall over himself and do my job for me. And then Zach Polanski is saying, no, I think it would be sociopathic not to talk to the head of state of another country in order to avoid war. Of course he's right.
Of course, 100%.
Of course he's right. And then you have Trevor Phillips, who's an older man. I think he's 70.
Because look how many times during war periods where, in order for peace to be done, guess what? The leaders of both countries have to actually speak to each other in order to end wars, man. So it would be ridiculously idiotic to ever think that you wouldn't be able to do something like that just because it's Putin. Right? And that type of energy is the reason why we're so scared of Russia because we're afraid to even speak to Putin. Donald Trump was the first one to go talk to them. You know what I'm saying? You need that type of bravery to be able to go out of your way to actually try and fix things instead of just leaving them how they are and just letting them roam free around the world, you know?
A lot. He's not stupid. I hope. He's not stupid. He's been a senior person in this country's public life for decades. And he's saying, you can't seriously think that people would just give up nuclear weapons. And guess what, buddy? That's been happening for decades. South Africa gave up nuclear weapons. The apartheid regime had probably around 5 atom bombs. Gave them up. Argentina had a nuclear program. Guess what? Gave it up. Sweden. People don't know this. Sweden had a nuclear program. Guess what? Gave it up. They have quite a large, powerful country to their east. You might have heard of it. At the time, it was called the USSR. Gave it up. The Germans had a nuclear program. Gave it up.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. So he's pretty much saying that it is possible for countries to give up nuclear programs, which of course it is. But these are special cases, man. I'm not entirely in the belief that Russia would be willing to, just because of their track records, their history. But look, countries can change, man. Obviously, America abolished slavery. The Brits, damn, my thoughts fucked right now. Pause. Put in civil rights movements, put in civil rights acts, equality acts, allowed women to work. It's not as if countries can't change, so you gotta be the one to be able to step up to them and be like, yo, we need some change right here, bruv. The world's about business, cuz we need to make money, bruv. Let's stop fucking fighting, bruv, and let's start making some money, bruv. Like, there you go.
Even our weapons with Trident are much less powerful than they were decades ago with the hydrogen bomb. You had all kinds of international laws and treaties between the United States and the USSR prohibiting various kinds of testing. From the 60s, you stop overground testing. You have all kinds of prohibitions on the size of the bombs, on the use of how they're delivered, the delivery vehicles, the ICBMs.
Right.
Then with Gorbachev and Reagan, you have people actually reducing the number of warheads they have. You have START 1, you have START 2. So actually, Trevor, if you have any idea about what the hell you're talking about, the last 50 years has been a story where countries, including the United States and the USSR, during the literal Cold War, were reducing their ability to destroy one another.
Right.
So that's not utopian. That's not crazy. That's been happening. And in the last 10 years, we're actually moving in a different direction. But from the early 1960s onwards, basically after the construction of the hydrogen bomb, which is it's called a thermonuclear weapon. It's different from the original atomic bomb. It's far more destructive. Okay? Far more destructive. And basically, when that is created, when you have the Tsar bomber, the largest ever nuclear device ever detonated by humans, by the Soviet Union, people take a step back and they go, whoa, this is really crazy. We now have the ability to exterminate the entire human species. Maybe we shouldn't do that. Maybe we should try and walk things back.
Yeah, man. And yeah, when it comes to like how many end worlds conspiracies that there are, they're like, oh, will humans destroy themselves with atomic bombs and nuclear bombs? Well, that won't be possible if all the bombs are gone. And where does that start? You gotta start with the people that have them the most. Russia, North Korea, America, everyone. And if they're all gone, guess what? No more worry about us blowing ourselves up.
At the time, there were people in Britain saying, well, the Russians are crazy. It'll never change. And there were people in the Soviet Union saying, well, the Americans and the Brits are crazy. You can't negotiate with them. We didn't wipe each other out. And we talk on this show a lot about how things went wrong, how there were so many disasters in the 20th century. So many. And there were. Genocides, ethnic cleansing, war, famine. There were. Crazy. Right. So many crazy things. It was a miracle that nuclear weapons weren't used after 1945. It was a miracle. It's been 80 years this year it would be a miracle if we go another 8 years and they're not used. So the idea that you can scoff at somebody who is really eager to avoid that outcome by any means necessary tells me how privileged you are. And I don't mean privilege in terms of economic background or your ability to access education. I'm saying you didn't have to participate in a nuclear holocaust. There's another timeline where that happens. We're very fortunate not to have been in it.
Yeah, fuck that timeline, man. That timeline looks scary as shit, bruv. Fuck that, bruv. When it comes to this type of deal that Zelensky's trying to put forward in terms of going to Russia, going to Putin, put it in your mouth, mate, what? But going to Putin and telling him to, you know, lower your arms, stop this nuclear bomb funding and shit. That would only work if America was on board with doing the exact same thing. Now, I don't know if you guys know, but there's a major thing going on up in space, bruv. Yeah, now we're going crazy. Now we're going wild. But there's a bunch of space programs out there where they're trying to make nuclear bombs in space and literally have like space wars, like some real Star Wars shit, bro. Like, no joke. So America threw up something in space that has the ability to destroy other drones, and Russia did the exact same thing. And then America tried to make a deal to make it to where Russia couldn't make any more space weapons, right? And then Russia declined that. Then Russia tried to do the exact same thing, but for everybody to do it, not just Russia. And America declines, inclining that America isn't really trying to stop that. They want to keep making nuclear bombs. So I say this to say, yeah, I don't think America's going to be on that type of wave, my guy. I'm not going to lie. That's probably why Zelensky doesn't really like Trump too tough. Because they don't agree with a lot of things. You know, one's on the left, one's radically right, one's radically left. So of course they're not going to agree with each other on a lot of ideals. So it makes sense. But yeah, I guess we just have to see what that man do, bruv. Get Zelensky in office and see what fucking changes around here, bruv. So as I was editing this, I realized I made a mistake between who's in a space war with the US. It's actually China that's in the space war with the US, not Russia. Russia stopped their space program decades ago and are only trying to reinstate their space program only recently. So if you wanted to see more about what I was talking about, you can watch this video that I put on the screen right here. Very insightful. But yeah, back to the video.
We owe our kids and our grandkids to enjoy the same conditions.
100%.
After asking Polanski about the meaning of the white poppy, and frankly going nowhere with that question too, towards the end of their chat, Phillips touted the possibility that Green Party success would only help one man, Nigel Farage.
So there will be no electoral deal, however informal, with Labour, even though the division on the left might let reform into number 10.
Well, there's two things there. So in a recent poll just yesterday or the day before, Greens are actually outpolling the Labour Party. We're in 3 points ahead. So the real question you should be asking Keir Starmer is, will he stand aside to make sure that Nigel Farage isn't Prime Minister? But more widely, I was answering about Keir Starmer. I don't think Keir Starmer will be the Prime Minister at the next election. I think it's another question whether he'll even be an MP. And so will I work with a future Labour leader? Depends who the future Labour leader is.
That makes sense, man. Keir Starmer is not very popular amongst the people right now, man. Yeah, I guess him trying to cut the funding towards disabled people's allowances, him trying to cut the winter bill, what do you call it again? I forgot what you call it, but trying to cut funding towards people who are elders, who can't afford heating. Trying to do that, that kind of fucked you up. So it is looking like reform's going to be the one that's going to be in power right at this moment, but we still have 3 years, man. So hopefully Zelensky gets in there, bruv, and fuck shit up, bruv. That's what I'm looking for, bruv. Nah, I'm not trying to see Farage win, bro. If that nigga wins, bro, I'm leaving this country, bro. I'm not being in a country that is actively got a racist leader, man. I'm just not dealing with it, bro. Fuck that.
Who would you like?
It's not really for me to decide who the Labour leader is. What I would like to see is more and more people voting and joining the Green Party, which is why membership of the Green Party has over doubled in the last 2 months. I intend to keep helping make it grow.
Okay, but a lot of people in the Labour Party who might fancy some sort of alliance with the Greens would be quite interested to know who they might support in the event that there's a vacancy that would make that alliance easier. Give them some guidance.
Well, I can give some examples. I think Nadia Whittome, for instance, would make an excellent leader of the Labour Party. I don't think it's something she's necessarily in her ambitions right now, nor would the Labour Party, I'm sure she wouldn't mind me saying, necessarily support that.
This nigga is recruiting, bruv. Hey, that's some gangster shit. Man said, yeah, bruv, I like cuz, yeah? Look, I'm looking your way, bruv. Man wants you in this party, bruv. Come here, bruv. I fuck with that.
A very left-wing MP.
Well, I think you say very left-wing, but actually when we look at what's happening in this country right now, look how far we've shifted to the right in terms of the conversation around migration, the conversation around privatising our National Health Service through the back door. I don't think these are very left-wing ideals, and I don't think that would be a problem if they were. But actually what I'm saying is where the majority of the country are at, which is we should nationalise our public services, invest in our National Health Service, and tax multimillionaires and billionaires just a little bit more.
Well, tax multimillionaires and billionaires... only them? That's not going to raise much money.
No, so there's other things.
Do you see how scared he is to say that? Trevor Phillips, bro. You scared of that little bit of tax? What are you scared of, bruv? Man was struggling to get the word, the sentence out, bruv. Man said, you want to tax the yes, nigga, tax the millionaires and billionaires, bruv. He seems a bit shy, bruv. He seems a bit scared.
Things like bringing capital gains tax in line with income tax. The reason why that matters is right now we tax earned income more than we tax unearned wealth. That seems absolutely outrageous to most people as a result of political choices, and we can make different political choices.
The Chancellor, it appears, is likely to raise income tax, maybe 1p, 2p, for everybody. Will your members of Parliament vote for that?
I can't demand what our members of Parliament vote for because they have a free vote, but I would say the principles that we're all standing by is that those with the broadest shoulders should face the biggest burden, and that doesn't make sense to do that across the board universally. People are struggling so hard right now. So
no, you don't want to rise an income tax?
No, people are tired and exhausted. Their wages haven't gone up, but food prices are going up. How can you make some of the hardest working people who haven't had a pay rise in years pay extra tax and allow multimillionaires and billionaires to continue not paying capital gains?
All right.
All right.
Well, that's interesting. You see how, once again, this guy is like Trevor Phillips. He says, oh, well, you just want to raise tax on just the millionaires and billionaires, just them? Oh no. Does that mean I'm going to be earning less money? Oh no. And he brings up income tax because that he knows for a fact that doesn't affect him at all. That's funny. That's fucking hilarious. He's terrified. He is absolutely terrified. Like, he wants to be able to tax everybody else, but not tax the millionaires and billionaires. I wonder why.
We've got a guy who's actually saying some quite popular things here, and he's left wing. Okay, let's go elsewhere, right? By the way, there'll be a ton of people who are reform curious in the next general election who will be exposed to that kind of policy, that kind of messaging from Zach Polanski. Whatever you think about it, right? You might be a pragmatist and say it's pie in the sky, we have to increase taxes. And to be clear, with regards to Labour, they want to increase income tax in terms of 2p on the basic rate, but then they want to reduce national insurance contributions. So working people probably be level pegging. Pensioners, very rich people, landlords will be paying more. Now, you might think that's reasonable, right? Zach Polanski doesn't think that. But in any case, the fact you've got somebody on the left saying, no, let's increase capital gains tax and keep income tax where it is a real problem for Labour. Structurally, it's a very hard sell when you have, to your right, Reform saying all kinds of things about immigration and law and order, and to your left, the Greens saying, let's increase capital gains tax. And by the way, we tax capital gains at a lower rate, not just on incomes, but on dividends. There's no excuse for it. A few days earlier, Polanski appeared in a different kind of
The thing is
show.
about that one, it's a bit of a slippery slope. I think if he was going to put on a tax for dividends or for capital gains tax, I think it should be a thing of thresholds, just like how income tax works, you know, where you don't get taxed on your first $9,000 that you make, and then anything you make over that or past that, you get taxed 20%. Now, one thing I will say, Reform are trying to put in that type of tax where they change the threshold, which is one thing I did see. They're trying to change the threshold to 20 grand. So you don't get taxed on your first 20 grand. But all it does is give you an extra grand a year, which is nice, but realistically, it's not gonna do much of a difference. All you need to really do is raise wages. That's what you need to do. If you raise wages, then people would feel a little bit more inclined to, well, they'll feel a little bit better about their living situations, you know? You need to be able to raise wages. And that's what Zelensky's trying to do. I can't even say his name. His name's so hard. I don't even know where he's from, but I will find out eventually. But yeah, in terms of raising taxes on capital gains tax and dividends, there has to be a way that he puts in like thresholds, just like how income tax works and capital gains tax works. If they do it where it's thresholds, like let's say, I don't fucking know, raising it to where if you're making like £1 million or something like that on capital gains tax or some shit, then yeah, there should be a certain type of tax you receive and then 10 million, just like how they're trying to do it with the wealth tax, where you don't get any, you get taxed 1% based on any assets that you have worth over £10 million altogether. So, and then the same thing will be for if you have assets that are worth £1 billion, you get taxed 2% on the value of that. Which I say is very fair. In fact, I say it's a bit low, but you know what I'm saying? One step at a time, one step at a time.
Channel 4's The Last Leg. Here he is responding to questions as Prime Minister Polanski outside number 10.
What is that? What are you doing with these mics? Sorry.
Oh yeah, and the reason why I say that is because for the dividends threshold thing, because dividends is a very good way for normal working class people to even get into building wealth. Because I don't know if you guys know, but you could be invested into any stock exchange, any stock, bonds, whatever, and be earning dividends at any level, bro. So if it was a thing where everybody gets tax dividends, even though they're not really making that much from dividends, that's a bit unfair, I'd say. But I think it should be a thresholds thing once again. It should definitely be a thresholds thing.
We're going to throw some questions at you. You have to answer them without waffling.
Okay.
No waffle bombs. If you do waffle, to punish you, as leader of the Green Party, Josh and Alex are going to rev a motorbike and release pollution into the atmosphere.
Wait.
Here we go. Jacob said, with Labour reform and the Tories all attacking
Is that Gabby?
the atmosphere.
What's her name again?
Here we go. Jacob said, with Labour reform...
What's her name again? Isn't her name like Gabby or something? Oh man, the girl with the girl with the pancake horse, bro. She said that herself. I didn't say it. I remember her saying they were locked in, bruv. she's kind of jokes still. I fuck with her, you know. And that's the black girl from EastEnders, bruv. Yeah, bruv. You know, the other black girl that used to be on the show at the same time as her, she kind of looks like my mum. It's mad interesting. It's mad funny to me. But yeah, just a random Easter egg.
Reform and the Tories all attacking disabled people. How would the Greens do disability differently?
Nothing about us without us. We need to make sure that disabled people are at the centre of policy around disabled people. Actually, if we create better housing, if we make sure our transport is more accessible, that's good for everyone, especially disabled people.
OK, well done. Grace.
OK.
Thank you.
Who would you cast to play climate change in a movie?
Nigel Farage, he's full of hot air anyway.
Jeez, I agree, bruv. I fucking agree, bruv. Hot breath, motherfucker. Woo!
Is there a horn on this?
It's more stressful than question time, I'm just saying.
Horatio said, why is the Green
fuck
Party
that.
so firmly against nuclear energy?
Because Sizewell C has taken like 27 years to build. It's like creating a fax machine right now. We need to invest in renewable wind and solar.
Alex.
Yeah, I've got a big one for you. So, wind farms, trees, pandas, snog, marry, kill, go.
Stop the pandas.
What?
What were the other ones?
It's a weird ass question, I'm not gonna lie. It's a weird fucking question. Why the hell did he put pandas in there? It's a bit sus. It's a very fucking weird sus.
Wind farms and trees.
Trees.
So you've got to marry
trees,
one and kill one.
Marry the pandas. I don't want to kill any wind farms. I don't want to kill anyone.
Have you ever watched watch porn somewhere you shouldn't by accident?
Obviously.
Wild, man. Wait, how do you do that by accident? What does it by accident? Okay.
Cinnabon said, many young people feel disconnected from politics. What do you think are the best ways to get them more involved and have their voices heard?
Yeah, stop saying we're inspired by young people. Let's actually help them to get into positions of power.
Nice.
We need to invest in young people, give them the resources, the confidence and the skills to actually represent themselves.
Great.
1000%. 1000%, man. And if young people are voting for Zelensky and old people are voting for reform, it really shows the cultural divide in the UK, man. The only old people are really voting for reform, bruv. It's kind of sick. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. But yeah, 100%. We need to give more young people the opportunity to have a position of power because, yes, they don't have as much experience, but that's what history books are for. To learn. That's what having elders are around there for, to be able to teach and give wisdom to the younger generations. So yeah, man, 100% invest in the youth, bro. The youth is the future of your country. If you don't invest in them, now, you will never see the gains they will give to you when you're older.
Do you think you'd be better as a traitor or a faithful?
Claudia Winkleman. I like it when she just shouts at people.
Yeah.
I still can't believe Alan killed Paloma.
Kai said, could you clarify, because some are confused, what the Green Party's stance is on NATO?
Yeah, Donald Trump is an unreliable ally. He's someone who wants to annex Greenland.
Yeah.
I want to look at peace and diplomacy. Working with our European neighbours, that's very threatening.
Yeah, I can't lie. That is mad. Yeah, unreliable ally. And it makes sense because if you look at the tariffs that America put on everybody, they even put taxes on us as well. So, well, not taxes, I should say tariffs, because taxes don't affect us, but their tariffs don't affect us. What it does is raise the tariffs for their country, but as we know, the UK has a pretty big relationship, a special, unique relationship that they like to say, with America. So the fact that he can just willy-nilly just put on tariffs and just ruin our economy for a little quick second, it's quite stupid, I'm not gonna lie. All it does is just raise the prices on Americans' goods and services that they import, and then all it does is have us have to raise our prices so that you man have to pay more. It's very stupid, honestly, very stupid, unreliable. And that in turn ruins businesses' ability to give competitive pricing. It's very idiotic.
Have you ever sacked off a paper straw for a plastic straw? Be honest.
No. Who does that?
I have.
Oh,
Sorry.
we need to talk.
Sorry.
Final question from Marty. Marty said, do penguins have knees?
The penguins have knees?
Yeah.
If they choose to, however they self-identify.
Yeah, that was...
I thought
Do penguins have knees? What the fuck? I don't know. I don't even understand. 3 of those questions are the stupidest questions I've ever seen, but I guess it's an entertainment channel. Fair enough.
that was a really funny answer. And it underscores how Zach Polanski doesn't take himself too seriously. And again, there's a ton of things which are associated with the left in this country, rightly or wrongly. One of them is taking yourself really seriously and just being really serious and telling people what to do and telling people off. You know, he's not doing that. There's a comment here from Zimmy9745.
I don't know about that one. He is telling a little bit of people off, you know. The fact that we're not taxing the rich, you have to tell people off for not taxing the rich. So, yeah, I don't know about that one.
Like Zach, but I don't think the UK is ready for this type of politics. As a whole, this country is not progressive enough, not educated enough. Well, I would say to that, look, I don't think Zach Polanski is going to become the Prime Minister. I certainly don't think the Greens are going to be the largest party in Parliament. But can they, with this brand of politics, guerrilla marketing with the media, growing your membership, left populism, going after the Labour vote, going in the major cities, can they do all of that and get 50 seats? Yeah. Yes, they can. But maybe more. I'm not saying rather, they will get 50 seats. They've got 4 right now. If they get double figures, that's an accomplishment.
100.
But they could get 50 seats. And that completely reorients the entire political calculation for the Labour Party. Also should be said, I wonder, would Keir Starmer be insinuating they're going to get rid of the two-child benefit cap if Zach Polanski wasn't so prominent right now in the public conversation? If the Green Party hadn't outpolled Labour twice in 2 polls in 2 weeks.
See, I'm telling you, man. These men are scared of Polanski, bro. He's making waves. He's making waves. It's kind of what Gary's economist said. Having media influence over politics is better than actually being a politician, because you're able to sway what the people's perception and what the people are thinking about just by being in the media, by controlling what they see. Guess what? Now people are paying attention to that. Because Gary's economist, he doesn't want to become an MP, he doesn't want to become the prime minister, but he wants to be able to influence politics, which is kind of how Brexit was even to, or was it called UKIP back then? Were able to even sway the UK economy to actually become the way it is now with Brexit. They were able to influence politics because they were always in your face. You know what I'm saying? So let's definitely got a good strategy going, man. 100%.
Could be doing that. I don't think so. I don't think so. On that point, finally, of Zach Polanski not taking himself too seriously, I was really struck by this article in The Guardian by the man himself. Here's the title. The right can mock my teeth all it wants. It shows the Greens have struck a nerve. I think he's absolutely right. It's
100,
a great article
man.
too. Go read it for yourself. But that's the point, isn't it? The fact that he's being mocked for his teeth says he can't be mocked for his policies, and certainly not for his critique of the present political moment.
100%, man. Because Zelensky is not an idiot. You know what I mean? He knows what he's talking about. He's backing his points. He's not backing down. And the right doesn't really have a strong argument to say no. You know what I'm saying? Other than being fucking scared and saying, oh, but the British public, they don't believe in this. Or what if they all, I'm so scared of the I'm so scared of the billionaires leaving. Oh no, what about the jobs? But the jobs are already shit, so, but the billionaires are here. Oh yeah. We're already fucked anyway. You know what I'm saying? Why not try and do something new, bruv? There's a random point. But yeah, I've already gone into this multiple times why I believe taxing the rich is always going to be the best way forward. Like in one of my previous videos, I showed how Spain actually grew in terms of how many millionaires and billionaires they actually had in their country after they implemented wealth taxes. They actually increased the amount they had. Why? I haven't gone into that yet, but I'll probably do it in a following video. But yeah, I'd love to know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you think the Green Party actually has a chance at winning, or do you think we're gonna have to wait a little while, man? But yeah, man. Until next time, love.